shoes off. John Nuggets in the house. What's up, JN? Nugget, Mr. Nuggs? Nice to see you. I'm glad you're feeling good. How are you, sir? John says, hello, everybody. And Amanda says, John, you get the gold star. You're first in chat. Nice to see you, buddy. And I love the name change, Mr. Nugget. Nice. Amanda says, hi, Untethered Live family. Good to see y'all. I hope everyone had a good week. Hi, Jake. How are you tonight? Lighter than I was 5 minutes ago. How about yourself? Amy Elizabeth says, hello. Hello, Amy. How are you? And Amanda says, hi, Aaron. My man. What's up, buddy? Aaron says, barn door swings open. Like putting swinging doors in the White House back in the Reagan era so you could go, wait, I'm back and I'm pissed off. Yeah. Amanda says, hello, Aaron. I hope I'm doing that voice right. I've never heard it. Aaron says, I'm here, homies. And hello, Amanda. Linda Davis says, hi, all in chat. I've missed you all. I missed you too. How you doing? What you been up to? You all right? Amanda says, so, Aaron, I went and did the thing. I'm a Gemini tester now. Gemini is a AI thing. LOL. Gives me something to do. Keeps her out of my hair. Aaron says, Linda, hugs. Amy says, I'm at home and I'm sick. Oh, no. What are you sick of? Why are you sick? What happened? Are you okay? Do you need anything? Amanda says, hi, Linda, hon. Yes, to the fan, by the way. Freezing cold 5 minutes ago, and I'm burning up. Go figure. Aaron says, so dope, Amanda. And Amanda says, oh, no, Amy. Sorry, feel better soon. Yes, feel soon. Why are you sick? And what can we do to make you feel better? Amanda says, yeah, and I get paid for it. A little bit. You don't get paid a lot, but you get paid a little. That's more than nothing. I, too, have done a thing. I am involving myself with YouTube creators, and they're going to pay me, too, $50 gift card after I get accepted. But they probably won't accept me because, you know, I'm Christian and straight. But if they do accept me, I'll get to sit in and talk about creating shows with other creators. It's one of those think tank type of things. Anyway, Aaron says, what you got, Amy? You know, what kind of sickness? Are you down with the sickness? Why? Linda says, I've been sick. Oh, no. What have you been sick of? It's just going around. I was sick last month. You guys were sick this month. Whew. Getting old sucks, doesn't it? It ain't for quitters. It ain't for weaklings. Getting old is for tough people that have nothing better to do but get old. Amanda says, oh, no, Linda. Feel better soon. Wesley Ogle. Hello, Wesley Ogle. Nice name. Oh, it's really Patti from Tennessee. My phone, after a 29 and 4 years, will not charge. Oh, no. Well, hello, not Patti. Nice to see you. I'm sorry your phone won't charge. You had your phone for 31 years?
$29.
Oh, a $29 phone after 4 years won't charge. Well, throw that thing away. Go to the dollar store and get you another $60 phone, and it'll last you the rest of your life. I got a answer for you too, by the way. I don't know if you saw the title, but I'm going to answer your question tonight. Linda Davis says, how you feeling, Jake? Did you pass that stone? No. Apparently, it got tired of hurting me, and it just stopped hurting. I don't know if it moved or broke up or went back up for more mining. I don't know. It just quit after about a week of intense, agonizing pain. I woke up and I was just sore, and then within 4 hours I felt fine. I don't know. Maybe it's going to come back with a vengeance. I don't know. This might be the calm before the storm. It might be my kidney might have died. I don't know. I don't think that's it, because I'd probably not be, a decent color if that happened. But it could be anything. I don't know. Maybe I just had a kidney infection. That could have been it. But thank you for asking. I appreciate it. And it did suck. What the experience I had with it thus far was not something I ever want to do again. Amanda says, hi, Patty. Oh, no. And by the way, I may have passed it and just didn't see it. I don't know. Patty says, a Dollar General store buy. Yes. I worked with one of those for many years. Matter of fact, I got it right here in this drawer somewhere. I ain't going to look for it, but right down there, I got like 3 dollar store phones. I never knew I needed a good phone until Amanda came into my life, and she made sure I had a good one. So now I got a Galaxy, a nice one. I think it's A15 or whatever it is. I don't know what it is. But I never had a good phone until now. The dollar store one does everything this one does. Amanda says, well, hopefully you get a new one soon. Yes. If you need one, let me know. I'll help you out. I can't have my ladies not being here. So, let me know what you need. Patty says, I am now, for the first time, using my first iPhone. Oh, really? You got an iPhone? Well, never mind. I'm jealous. Amanda says, oh no, iPhone is junk. In my opinion. No, they're not. They're great phones. But they are very clicky, very culty phones. You have to be in the club. Patty says, I'll go tomorrow, I'm hoping. Who are you speaking about? What do you mean? Who is who speaking about? Amanda says, good luck, Patty. And Valerie Bardales says, it's my birthday today. Hey, happy birthday. Yeah, I often go into people's that I've never met before's live streams and proclaim it's my birthday too. Fab Daddy, what's up, buddy? He says, happy Friday. Hey, Fab Daddy. Nice to see you, my friend. How are you? Here's to you, sir. Amanda says, hi, Valerie. Welcome and happy birthday. Valerie says, hi. Amanda says, hey, Fab. Patty says, oh, yes, of course. Thank you, Miss Amanda. Linda Davis says, respiratory infection. But anytime I get sick, it goes to my weakest point. So my kidneys were bleeding and kicking my ass, but I'm feeling better today. That's good. I'm sorry to hear that. If your kidneys are bleeding, you should probably go to the doctor. I'm guessing. I'm glad you're feeling better. Aaron says, hey, Jake. What's up, my brother? Nice to see you. How you doing? How's your new relationship going? Are you having fun? Somebody speaking in another language says, just because it's big, he thinks it's 2. I don't know what you're referring to. I'm guessing you're trying to be cheeky. If that's the case, mission failed. Amy Elizabeth says, same here, Linda. My COPD is acting up. I can't breathe. And then I had sharp pains in my back. I'm sorry to hear that. Everybody's in a bad way this week. I'm sorry to hear that. John says, prayers to everyone. Thank you. Aaron says, China name. What are you talking about? Yes, Chinese name. What are you talking about? Aaron says, I missed you. We're fighting, Jake. Your new relationship, you're already in a fight? That could go one of 2 ways. That might be terrible, a red flag, and it might be the best thing that's ever happened to you. Play it out. Hear me out. Play it out and see what happens. Go along with it for a little while. If we get to making up in the next day or 2, let me know how it goes. Other than that, huge red flag. Shouldn't be fighting already. Amanda says, he's just jealous because Jake has that big D energy. Linda says, I have chronic kidney problems and they often bleed. The doctor knows all about it. I'm sorry to hear that, Linda. That's terrible. I hope there's something that can be done about that. That's bad. Kidneys are kind of important. I know I had one that was just acting up for a week and I was down and out, down for the count. Amanda says, oh no, Aaron, already? Aaron says, I feel you. It ain't me. Well, I don't know who it is, but I know that in a new relationship, you should be trying to prove yourself and not trying to fight. That's how new relationships go. And if you're fighting already, something is wrong. Unless it's one of the other things, and then it might be a good thing. You have to wait and see. Amy says, liked, shared, and invited some friends. Aaron says, she's just stressed, I think. That's possible. High-stress people often express themselves in anger, and hopefully she'll apologize and it'll all be over. But pay attention to that. That could go bad. Amanda says, he was a big old baby. Oh, yeah, I was. I'm definitely a baby when I get sick. I just want to be pampered. Fat Daddy says, maybe they like makeup sex. I've known a few relationships like that. Off and on, rinse, repeat. I basically said that. I was just being a little more kitschy. But yeah, could go that way too. And if it goes that way, congratulations. Amy says, at least I'm not smoking today. Congratulations, Amy. At least I'm not todaying while I smoke. It's the best thing I had. Amanda says, that's good, Amy. It is good. Maybe you can quit that nasty habit. It's bad for you. Linda says, hell, I'm used to it. I've had kidney problems since the 80s. Since 1980. Wow. I am sorry to hear that. Erin says, she only comes at night, and I don't like it. And I told her, come and we can talk in person. Right? So you're saying she only visits you at night? Vampires do that. You haven't invited her in, have you? Do you have any garlic? I'm just asking. I don't know what to think about that, Aaron. Are there reasons why she only comes at night? Does she have a day job? Is that why she only comes at night? Amanda says, some people are just bitches. Amy says, pampered like Biden? No. Pampered like Jake. Lots of stroking and kissing, that sort of thing. Aaron says, Amanda, facts. And Amanda says, LOL, Amy. Aaron says, oh, Amy, LOL. Patti says, Mr. Jake, what is going on in Revelations 8:13? I may know my answer, but maybe I don't. Well, all I can do is answer you from what I've seen. Revelations 13 is an illusion. It's part of a greater story. So you can't just take it from there. You have to read the whole thing. And it's talking about there's a period in time where God presents a scroll. And the angels say, who is worthy to open this scroll? John is seeing all this from his vision standpoint. John is the guy that wrote Revelations. And he observed that there was nobody in heaven, nobody in earth worthy to open that scroll. That scroll is the title deed to planet Earth. That's what it is. It's basically the owner's manual or the owner's title to the world. I don't know exactly what it is, but that's the gist of it. And so a man approached, being Jesus, and he took the scroll and began to open it because he's the only one worthy to take over for God. God owns the world. He presents the title. Jesus takes the title. This is a handoff of power, right? And so if you go back and watch my episode 422, where I break down the first line of the Bible, you'll find out that indeed Jesus is there and first before God is there. So that is foretold from the beginning that Christ is going to take over for God. That's always been part of the plan. That's the way that it is. Now, when he begins to open the scrolls, judgments fall out onto the earth. And then there's a series of angels whose job it is to herald these things happening. There's trumpeters, there's people with bowls, and there's people with vials. And each one trumpets, and then a bowl is poured out, and then a vial is poured out. Each one. It's like cascading events, right? One trumpet, one bowl, one vial. Two trumpets, two bowls, two vials. Three trumpets, three bowls, three vials. It's like fireworks. Anyway, one of those angels is the angel with the face like an eagle. There are four angels. They each have the face of a different thing. One has the face of a man, one has the face of a lion, one has the face of an eagle, and one has a face of a bear or a bull. I can't remember. But if you read Revelations and read Daniel, you'll see these imageries happening. The eagle is always in the Bible. It's always meant to represent strength and sovereignty. It's powerful. It's a independent bird. So when the imagery of the eagle is used, it is symbolic of power. And that's what's happening. Power is being transferred from God to Jesus. This particular angel is a cherub. There are several different types of angels. There's seraphim, cherubs, Zoe, I can't remember them all. Anyway, there's a bunch of them. But these are cherubs, the same type of angel that Satan is. Satan is also a cherub. Cherub is a type, not a title. These particular angels are archangels, and their job is to herald the coming of judgment, okay? This particular angel, the one with the face like an eagle, comes to say, right in the middle of the tribulation, there's already a couple of trumpets that have been blown, and then this eagle-faced angel comes to let everybody know, hey, it's fixing to get much, much, much worse. So this particular angel is a herald of bad news. It's a harbinger of more judgment to come. And then there are several trumpets that happen after that. So the answer to the question is, the eagle represents a cherub whose job it is to herald danger to the earth. That's the answer. I could go into further detail, but you need to read Revelations in its entirety to get the full picture of what's happening there. We're going to cover that on the channel. So I don't want to bury the lead with one question, but hopefully that satisfies you and as to who that particular angel is. And read the book of Daniel. Understand the 70 weeks of Daniel and how that plays into Revelations and where that ends and where the things in Revelations begin. And then read with the understanding that the trumpets, bowls, and vials are God's judgment on the earth, and each one that opens, bad things occur on planet Earth. Each one. And they get progressively worse towards the end, which ends with about a third of the whole planet dying because of these judgments. So much so that Christ shortened the amount of time, because even the elect would die, would be deceived if it were allowed to go on any longer. So that's what's happening in that book. I hope that helps. Alfie CM says, evening, Alfie, welcome to the show. Amanda says, hi, Alfie, welcome. Patty says, who is the eagle? The eagle is a cherub that works for God. An archangel. Amanda says, It's in reference to your question about the eagle Patti. Right on. Fat Daddy says, today, 81 years ago, was D-Day. All right. That's a hell of a thing to celebrate. We should all watch Saving Private Ryan immediately. Amanda says, hi, Oni, welcome. I didn't see Oni. I guess I missed one. Well, hello and welcome. Erin says, her kids, she says, problem is she plans for a week and then just changes the time back to night. Oh, I see. She has children and they get in the way of her visiting you. I understand. Well, maybe y'all should plan a family outing and have all the children come together if it's a serious relationship and you're ready for that. And just like do a beach day or something, you know. Maybe. I don't know. I haven't met her, so obviously I can't judge on her behalf. I don't know anything about her. But I know you, and I know your intentions are good. So maybe just play to that and see if it helps. Aaron says, so it was the lie that made me mad because this is the third time. Oh, you're saying she lied about the children? Amanda says, oh no, Aaron, that ain't good. If she's lying to you, that is a bad sign, buddy. Aaron says, she's on her way, and we will get it sorted one way or another. Good. Well, I got your back, buddy. I'm with you. I hope you the best of luck with that. Relationships are hard to manage, and I hope that you do well with it. Amanda says, good luck. Sherry Tukolsky says, beer. Or bear. What? Bear what? Right on. Amanda says, hi, Shirley, welcome. Shirley says, hi. Patti says, could Trump be the eagle? No. No, that eagle in Revelations 8:13 is definitely talking about an angel that's in heaven, not anybody on earth. But I see what you're saying. I would say if you wanted to look for an allegory for Trump, look back to previous kings. One in particular, Cyrus. That would be a very, very important king back in the day. And him and Cyrus have a lot in common. But that angel in Revelations is definitely a cherub. As a matter of fact, the Bible tells you who it is, quite plainly. Sherry says, I've studied eschatology over 15 years. Congratulations. As have I. Sherry says, yes. And shortening of the time has to do with the lifespan of man. You're incorrect. That is not correct. Your study of eschatology has failed you. The shortening of the time is very clearly illustrated in Jesus' own words, where he says that I had to shorten the time because even the elect would be deceived if I didn't. From 7 years down to 3.5 months. That's happening during the tribulation. You might be thinking of something else, in which case I apologize for the shortness, but that is incorrect. This is what I do for a living, and I am right. Fab Daddy says, I had to look up eschatology. The world is falling apart. Right on. Don't even try to worry about Episcopalians or epistoling apostles. But Sherry, thank you for your input, and I appreciate you saying so. Amanda says, Saving Private Ryan. Saving Ryan's Privates, LOL. That's a different movie entirely. Sherry says, could you imagine if people like Hitler would have lived to be 1,000 years? What would he have been like? What would he have done? Probably the same thing he did already. I don't think the amount of time you live impacts what you are as a human being. It means the end. Of course it means the end. Yes, but Revelations means to reveal. What are you revealing? How the end happens. Amy says, Sherry, his time was limited. He was backed into a corner. We must be talking about two different things. Aaron says, And Sherry says, his time was limited because God shortened our lifespans. No, that happened way back in the beginning of the book after the flood. That has nothing to do with the tribulation. Those are two completely different events. Lifespans were shortened in the days of ℂ𝕃𝕦 in Genesis after the flood. They went from 900 years roughly to 100 years roughly. That has nothing to do with the end of time whatsoever. That's just the nature of man. Such as, oh, you're back. Oh, you're back. Sorry. If we could go to the conditions prior to the flood, I have no doubt that human beings would start living miraculously long lives once again. Good Crusader says, greetings. Greetings, Good Crusader. How are you? Everybody hit that like button, subscribe, share, support, join, and super chats are available. And also Cash App, $JakeJohnsonband. If you dig the material tonight, I could use it. I appreciate that very much. I'm incorrect, Sherry. Well, so far, one of us has given actual details that came out of the Bible, and the other one has just said you're incorrect. So who do you think people are listening to? Aaron says, nope, the time she is coming, Jake, she keeps changing. Oh, I see. She keeps changing the times that she's supposed to be coming. I got you. And that, by the way, is a different conversation about time. Amanda says, hi, good, welcome. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, Aaron. Amy says, two kinds of Trump derangement syndrome. Trump derangement syndrome, but there's also Trump devotion syndrome. Both are nonsense. Trump is not to be worshipped like a god. Agreed. Nor should anything else be. It's commandment number 1 for a reason. I am the Lord your God. There should be no other gods before me, period. That's very, very clear and to the point. And Aaron says, Sherry, what are you talking about? And Amy says, what is he incorrect about? Right. Well, both of those things, we're talking about revelations, and we're talking about the things that are occurring in revelations. And I'm not wrong, and it's okay. You're going to get that from time to time. Everybody thinks that their crow is the blackest. That's not a racial slur, but it sounded like one. Everybody thinks that they're the teacher. Everybody thinks they can do your job. Same thing with being a sound man. Everybody wants to turn the knobs, tell you how to run sound, tell you what sounds good. That's just the nature of the game. Trust me when I tell you, I've done the research. I'm not incorrect. Mountain RC Farm says, a Jewish Catholic Church of Latter-day Saints legit? No. Think about everything you just said there. A Jewish Catholic Church of Latter-day Saints. That is a conflict of interest at its very definition. Run. Grab a Bible and run. Lock yourself in a room and read it. That's all you need. Aaron says, I think it's about that time, Amanda. Amy says, she was talking about Hitler, Jake, and then started talking about Trump. Yeah, she was throwing that in on top of telling me I was wrong about the Bible. The fall of man occurred in the Garden of Eden, Sherry. Those are not the same events. You are conflating too many ideas. You need to read the Bible step by step. It'll tell you exactly what happened in order. Aaron says, I see I was lost. Right on. But now you're found. And isn't that wonderful? Amanda says, yep. If it's just a dumb comment, then delete it. If they keep it up, then boot them. Right on. Aaron says, I'm saying the vertical always gets them in. Yes, it does. And right now, that's all I can do. My internet is out, and I have to pay them to come fix it, even though I don't have internet and haven't had it for a month. It's bad. So, appreciate all the help I can get. But they are coming. I think they said the 16th. Or was it the 12th? One of those two. I can't remember. Was it the 12th or the 16th? Hello? She's not even paying attention to me. She's watching the show and doesn't hear me talking to her.
12th.
Okay, it's the 12th.
The 12th.
The 12th. Got it. So, on the 12th, they'll send out a technician. But we had to pay the bill with no internet before they would send a technician out. Sounds like a scam to me. Nonsense is what it is. Amanda says, yep, the phone too. It puts him shorts category. Yeah, it puts the shorts category. These videos are shorts. They're long shorts, but they are shorts. And people watch shorts by doom scrolling. And so we get lots and lots of viewers from all over the place when you put up a short. Aaron says 900 years would be either great or terrible. Yeah. Now, I've put some thought into this. I do not want to live forever. I would like to live for 300 years, though. I think I could do everything I would ever want to do in 300 years. I think that's a fair number. Anything beyond that is just torture, in my mind. Amanda says, you again, potato? Potato? Potato, potato. Linda says, I would hate to have to live 900 years. I know, right? That would be terrible, especially today. Maybe that's why the lifespans were shortened, because God realized life was going to start sucking in the future. Daniel Spencer, welcome to the show. Potato got a big chip on his shoulder. Who? Me? Nah. I won't even remember you by the time I hit the X on this live stream. Aaron says, those kind end up fried. Right on.
Potato got deleted.
Potato got deleted, so apparently he was saying some nonsense. Amanda says, hi, Daniel. And Linda Davis says, LOL, Daniel. Amanda says, right, Aaron. Roma Rita says, Putin Kilo. I don't speak that language, young lady. I'm assuming you're a lady. You got a lady name. Kevin Bernard says, hello, everyone. What's up, buddy? Nice to see you. How are you doing, sir? Amanda says, hi, Roman. Amy says, cooking bacon. Be right back. Oh, bacon sounds good. I had egg sandwiches for dinner, so I would have loved to have some bacon with that. Amanda says, hi, Kevin. Kevin says, hello, Amanda. And hello, Amy. And hello, Linda. Sherry says, there was 3 different falls in Genesis 6 and the Tower of Babel. Well, the Tower of Babel was not the fall of man. That were some men that fell. And all of the languages were divided, but they didn't fall. They were separated. God put them in their respective corners. They were acting up, and God put them in the corner. The fall of man occurred in Genesis, in the beginning, in the Garden of Eden, when Adam and Eve did what they did. And what they did was not eat an apple. Kevin says, hey, Aaron. Aaron says, Kevin, my dude, love to see you. Kevin says, what's happening? Nothing. You see it. Me drinking coffee and arguing about the Bible, which is typical. Linda says, I think she was trying to say if Hitler's lifespan was as long as the original times, he would have done horrible things. Sure. But my response was, whether he lived 100 years or 1,000 years, he's a terrible person. That's not going to get better or worse. He's just terrible. So he would just continue doing what he's been doing. That's what I meant by that. I was agreeing. Sherry says Genesis 6 was when the watchers, somebody's been watching YouTube, took humans as wives, and that's why the flood happened. That is in part why the flood happened. It wasn't because the angels took wives. It was because of the offspring that union produced. And the reason was because they were violent and ravenous. They had appetites that could not be satiated in everything, not just food, but in violence and in hatred and in evil. They were monsters. They were vicious monsters, and they didn't belong here. That's not why God created this place. So he destroyed it to get them out of it. The angels coming down at Mount Hermon harkens back to an earlier time when they fell with Satan, because a third of God's angels followed Satan, and those are the ones that came down and mated with women. Aaron says, chilling with the live fam. That's what's happening. Kevin says, I hope everyone has a great weekend. I hope so too, Kevin. I'm praying for it myself. It's been a long week, buddy. I've been pulling overtime and all kinds of stuff trying to get by. Johnny Mike says, what up, Terry? Who's Terry? And welcome. And Amanda says, hey, Johnny, no Terry here. And Johnny says, Banhammer, nice. Kevin says, hello, Johnny. Aaron says, she swings that mofo too. Yes, she does. She does not play with that banhammer. What's the stream about? Well, tonight is a chill stream. Obviously, it's about whatever you want it to be. Whatever you want to talk about, we'll talk about it. So, overall, this show is about you. Every show we do is about you. We do Bible study on Sunday and Monday. We do a chill stream on Wednesday and Friday, and we do a political thing on Saturday where we argue a lot as friends. I think it's healthy. Overall, I think some people have had trouble adjusting to it, but I think most people are getting the idea that it's supposed to be about verbal conflict. The whole idea is to have discourse. So we'll see. It's an experiment. It might blow up in my face, but it might be a beautiful thing too. We'll see. Sherry says, because they were trying to get to God by way of the tower. Yeah, it's more than that. Sherry, let me ask you a serious question. Why are you here? Did you come here to learn, or did you come here to teach? It's a serious question. Linda Davis says, hey, Kevin. Amanda says, you know it, Aaron. LOL, swing, bada, swing, bada, swing. Amy says, Hitler did horrible things. Of course he did. He didn't think so, though. According to him, he did nothing wrong. You ever ask yourself why so many people went along with it? Because there's more than one way to think about a situation. And in his case, he thought he was saving his country. Now, I'm talking of the beginning of Hitler. After a while, the dude went crazy. Methamphetamines will do that to you. And then he got a God complex. He started smelling his own farts, and he tried to take over the world. That was a mistake. The beginnings of Hitler was actually quite genuine. Whether you agree with it or not, he meant what he was doing. It just went off the rails at some point. Weird mustaches aside, he probably should have reined that in a little bit. Probably should have had a few more people around him to tell him no. Johnny says, if you listen to Hitler's speech in English, they sound like Donald Trump. Or they sound like all politicians, because they're all promising you the same thing. Amanda says, we just chatting, Johnny, so whatever pops up. That's right. And by the way, that Hitler speech was done in AI, and I don't speak German, so I have no idea whether or not that's what he said or not. Could be. Might be. I don't know. Sherry says, duh. That's not the answer to the question I asked Sherry. It's a very simple question. It requires a simple answer, but not quite that simple. Aaron says, uh-oh. Amy says, only because someone's edited that way, Johnny. Someone edited that way. Right. That's what I'm saying. You need to be hyper vigilant. You need to understand first that everything is bullshit. If you can understand that, if you can wrap your head around that, the rest is easy. The rest you judge according to what you know to be true. And it's very simple to do. Consider the source. That's number one. Look before you leave. That's number two. Think before you speak. That's number three. And number four, be open-minded, but not so open-minded that your brain falls out. And number five, you cannot hear when your mouth is opened. If you'll live by those rules, you will understand the world you live in much, much, much better. Now, in this case, the videos that are circulating were put together by someone using AI, which means that they could literally make Hitler say whatever they wanted to, and you don't speak German. Now, if you did speak German, you could argue with that. But you don't. So why would you listen to something like that? Why would you allow that to take up residence in your brain as truth when you don't have any way of combating that idea? Only accept ideas that you know something about. I'll give you an example. The sun is 93 million miles from Earth. Well, it sounds good. How do you know? Scientists. That's how I know. Yeah, how do they know? Scientists. That's how they know. Yeah, but how do they know? Eventually you're going to get to, somebody made that shit up. Why? Because we don't have a ruler that fits 93 million miles. Nobody's ever seen 93 million miles. That's a guess. You don't know. Nobody's ever been out there. You don't know. So stop believing things you don't know. Hope that helps. Johnny says, I like this guy's mustache. Well, thank you. My mustache is quite fond of you too. Sherry says, that's why revelations from God is so important these last days. Yeah, that's why I teach Bible study on Sunday and Monday, because I'm illustrating that point, and I don't need an assistant. Amanda says, I do too, Johnny. Like that mustache. It's a nice mustache, isn't it? I'm proud of it. It's a good thing. Not weird at all. Amy says, you can't believe everything you hear on the internet. Quote from Abraham Lincoln. Right on. Exactly. Don't listen to anybody, not even this guy. Sure, let me guide you, but go look for yourself. That's the main thing. Everything I teach has a caveat. You have to go look for yourself. You have to go find out. You have the same gray matter that I have. I have the benefit of having had time to study it. You're just now getting into it. Or maybe you've studied it for a little while. Maybe you've really put some effort into it. Maybe you're a theologian with degrees out the wazoo. Don't mean you know everything. Aaron says, LOL, Abe had that Starlink. Right. Aaron says, it was in his top hat. That Starlink in his top hat. Yeah, that's how he knew. Oh no, political streams are no bueno. Well, that's your business, Johnny. We have a good time on ours. Amanda says, LOL, Aaron. Aaron says, only one night is political, Johnny. Right on. Saturday night is political. And it's political leaning. We usually end up arguing about the Bible or some such. But we start out political. It's a little different. You should check it out. Amanda says, oh, damn. What's wrong with this picture? I don't have a magic coffee cup. I do. John says, it just wasn't Hitler. It was his henchmen too. Right on. Well, there was a whole thing happening in the world at that time. And he's as much a victim of it as he's a progenitor of it. And the reason I say that is because he would have never thought he could do something like that if the stage wasn't set for him to do something like that. You understand? I don't think I can take over the world, and I have, you know, delusions of grandeur from time to time, but he thought he could. Why did he think he could? Well, because the stage was set. Did you know that Hitler was Time Magazine, an American company, Man of the Year 3 times in a row before all of that stuff? Everybody loved him, much like Trump, until he ran as a Republican, and then everybody hated him. Kind of makes you wonder if everything you've heard hasn't been seen through those same lenses. You ever wonder why people smear Donald Trump when 20 years ago they were praising at his feet and wanting to be seen with him everywhere he went? Same people are now trashing him. Why? You ever wonder why? You think he changed? Go back and listen to him in the 80s. He sounds exactly like he does today. He hasn't changed. Why are they now trashing him? Why are all of the newspapers and TV shows saying bad things about Donald Trump now? Why did they start saying bad things about Hitler? You ever ask yourself that question? I don't think you have. I think you build a bad guy in your mind, and that's what you latch onto with no evidence to back it up whatsoever. And that's not critical thinking, and I don't teach that. I teach critical thinking. If you listen to me, you may not agree with me. You may think I'm wrong. But a byproduct of you listening to me will be you starting to think for yourself. You won't be able to avoid it. I'll dig in there like a earworm, and I'll make you start thinking. You can't avoid it. I've already got you if you're still listening. And once you start thinking, you can't unsee what you start to see. Sorry. Now you live with it. Amy says, Pinky and the Brain trying to take over the world. Right on. Johnny Mike says, facts. They do sound like all politicians. Yes, because they're all selling you the same bill of goods. Put me in power and I'll give you everything you want until I'm in power, and then I'll give you everything I want. Amanda says, everything is bullshit, which is becoming quite a popular meme on this channel because it's true. Caravaggio says, trust the experts is no-no. Right. I agree. 100%. I don't trust the experts. I am the expert. If I see it and believe it, then I trust it. If I see it and think it's bullshit, then I don't trust it. Amanda says, agreed, Caravaggio. Hi and welcome. Johnny says, not a lot of people will buy by Rule 3. I understand. I never said it would be easy. I never said that everybody would listen to me. In fact, when I started this channel, I knew it would be a road uphill. I knew that I wouldn't have a lot of supporters and people would probably end up hating me for it. That's neither here nor there. If you listen to me, you can't avoid starting to think, because I will say things that will challenge you in ways that you won't be able to escape. You'll be thinking about it a week from now. I will say things that it has never occurred to you before. And when it starts to occur to you, you'll be like, hey, how come I never saw that? How come I never looked at it like that? It's right in front of you. It's that simple. Because you bought into the lie like everybody else, like I did. I was smart enough to break that programming, but it takes a little bit of effort. And you have to be willing to give up everything you believe to be true in order to do it. It's hard. It's a hard road. But once you start seeing it, you can't unsee it. And it cascades from there, and then everything you see will look exactly the same. Like bullshit. Caravaggio says, thank you, Banhammer. Miss Banhammer. Johnny says, I don't speak German. Neither do I. Which is why I have no idea what those videos are saying. But they sound good. So why not? Sure. Amanda says, believe none of what you hear and half of what you see. I'm just saying. Well, if you don't read, you're uninformed. If you do read, you're misinformed. So the best you can do is hang on for dear life and hope that your brain starts working at some point. Truth says, remember, think before you speak. It's a wise recommendation, and it applies to you too. Yes, Truth. I do think before I speak. Thank you for pointing that out. I said it, by the way. So obviously I thought of it before I said it. Welcome to the end of a thought process. Amanda says, truth, don't start. Truth, you're always welcome here, buddy. But you have got the wrong end of the poker. You're attacking the guy that's your friend. You just haven't seen it yet. Amy says, welcome back, Truth. And Johnny says, I believe that the sun's a long ways away. I just don't know the miles. Well, you're welcome to believe what you want. I believe that light casts a dispersion, and you can see the hot spot if it's close up. And if it's far away, you can see the diffusion, because I use lights in my job. I'm a musician. I light stages. I understand how light works. And if I'm looking down at the clouds and I can see a hot spot that is relative to my size, whatever is making that hot spot is not that far away. It might be far away, not that far away. 1,000,000 miles is a long way. 93 of them, much, much longer. The reason I bring that up is not to cast doubt on the sun's distance. It's just a thought about something you actually don't know but think that you do. And the whole world shares that feeling. And there's many things like that. Things that have been programmed into you since birth. Things that you don't even question. Things that are completely absurd, but you don't even question. Such as, we started out as cavemen and became enlightened. Have you ever seen a pyramid? You really think that's true? Where are all these cavemen, by the way? Or the caves that they lived in? Think about it. Amy says the blonde astronaut wants to go to the sun at night, so it's not so hot. Smart. I like it. Debbie, hello, Debbie. She says, well, shoot, I was going to apply for that job as an assistant. I love you, Debbie. You can assist me anytime. Truth says, isn't it the truth? This word of wisdom applies to everyone, Amanda. Yeah, it is the truth, which is why I said it. You echoing it does not make it profound. When I said it, it was profound. You're echoing it, trying to do a gotcha thing, not so profound. Kind of makes you sound like a clinger honor thingy. Anyway. Amanda says, hey, Debbie, LOL. Aaron says, truth, that applies to all of us. But respect is mandatory in the chat. Exercise it. Debbie says, howdy, Amanda, and everyone else. Hi, Debbie. How's your week been? Long time no see. We miss you around here. Amanda says, don't start your crap tonight. I will boot you. Don't come in here being a smartass with smartass comments. Well, take that back just a little bit. I agree. You should be vigilant to people that are being disrespectful. A little smartass is acceptable. I'm being a smartass. He can be a smartass. Just, keep the line even is all I'm asking. Truth says, Aaron, I am very respectful. Unless he's talking to me. Aaron says, I'm only going to tell you once. Truth says, Aaron, yes, man. Yes, man. Amanda says, hi. Is that Dark Rack? Is that like Dark MAGA? Dark Rack? Dark Rack says, big brother, you know Barris Mango song. I don't even know what a Barris Mango is. Sorry. And I'm from Turkey. Oh, nice. Well, welcome, Turkey. Nice to see you. Johnny says, I question everything and everyone, as you should. As you should. Including me. But there's a right way and a wrong way to do it. While I'm talking to you isn't the time to do it. I'll give you an example. Somebody from the chat asked me a question on Wednesday and allowed me to respond. She got an answer today. There you go. Amanda says, yes, Johnny, because everything we've been taught is bullshit and all lies. Yes. Truth says, Mike, very smart. Yes, he is. Amanda says, I was an exchange student in Germany in high school and I used to speak German. Nice. Can you translate what Hitler was saying? Bacon and cheese sandwiches. Nice. That sounds good. Johnny says, what is sans or effing either way? Or effed either way? You might be looking at it the wrong way. It could be that we're not effed either way. It could be that we're looking at it the wrong way. Maybe the rules have changed. Maybe we've been living our lives a certain way and not seeing the way we're supposed to be living our lives. And once you see it and make that small adjustment, then it becomes you're blessed either way. Could be. Amanda says, right, Johnny. Amy says, free speech. Some of the comments aren't saying anything offensive, but are being deleted. I'm confused. I think sometimes people have a propensity to defend me when people are saying things against me. And that's all there is to that. However, I have given the wrenches to the people I've given them to, and I have to trust that they make the right decisions, and I can't waste time thinking about whether or not they did. I would agree with you that, and I have said as much many times, as long as you're not being disrespectful to the ladies, I don't care what you say. You can say whatever you want to me. I can defend myself. I can handle it. But if somebody feels the need to delete somebody, that's their business. That's why they're here. But you're not wrong. Johnny says, you seem like you have too much common sense for leading a Bible study group. Why would you think that? Do you think common sense is antithetical to Bible study? Do you think God exists? And if you do, why would that not be the most important thing you ever did in your life? Is to understand what he put you here for. Do you think God doesn't exist? And if so, how did you come to that conclusion, being so wise? Because I've looked around, and there's a lot of questions out there that God doesn't exist doesn't seem to answer. For example, speaking of that common sense, let me simple it down a little. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? Well, if you're a scientist, then you believe in evolution, right? You believe in all things as it is presented. Okay? What did an egg evolve from that would produce a chicken? You're going to wrestle around for a lot of years with that question until you finally come to someone who says a dinosaur hatched a bird. I have a problem with that because reptiles and avian are not the same thing. Not even close. There are so many differences that that's not even a possibility, and the fact that a scientist said that boggles my mind. That guy is 100% faking his way through life. 100%. And it makes me doubt science because that ain't it. That ain't it. There is no process by which an egg evolves. You need a cloaca to make an egg, which is in a chicken. Chickens are unique to chicken making. There is no other thing that makes a chicken. So what came first? A chicken came first. 100%. Fully adult and ready to lay an egg with somebody to marry, according to Kent Hovind. You understand that? That means that something put it here. Designed it, made it, and put it here. That is the only way it can happen. Same thing with a seed. Oddly enough, you don't hear a lot of talk about those things in science classes. I have a lot of common sense. Most of it came from studying the Bible. Amanda says, yes, Amy. Talking gay stuff or calling names. Right. And by the way, to add to that, Amy, free speech is free speech, but speech has consequences. And if you say things that people don't like, they tend to get rid of you. You're allowed to say it. You're just not allowed to say it here. Go say it somewhere else. Amy says, one comment was, I love Russia, and that's not calling names. I didn't even see that one. What was it in context of? Truth says, Amy Elizabeth, very smart observation. It is. And whoever deleted that, that's not a reason to delete a comment. Amanda says, I didn't delete that one.
It was an accident, and
Oh.
I didn't do it.
Which is it? Was it an accident or you didn't do it?
It was an accident. Aaron did it.
Oh, it was an accident, and she didn't do it. Aaron says, you can see it, Amy. She has a wrench. Johnny Mike says, put the hammer down. Well, they're there for a reason, Johnny. And there are a lot of trolls, and that's their job, is to keep the chat clean and smooth and functioning in order so that people can communicate without a bunch of nonsense. Now, here are the things, and I'll make this clear so that there's no more confusion or accidents, and I don't care who did it. It doesn't matter. Number one, there's a lot of ladies in here. Up front, first of all, you respect the ladies. If you can't do that, you don't need to be here. Number two, repeating yourself over and over and over again will get you booted. Why? Because I can read, and all you're doing at that point is taking up time and energy from people and space, real estate in the chat where somebody else could be saying something of value. That's neither here nor there. That's no bueno, as the guy up there said. Number three, saying outlandish nonsense such as free Palestine or what's your take on gay pride? Out. I don't have time for that. And that's it. Being mean, being spiteful, being rude, being disgusting, being disrespectful to the ladies. That's a reason you get booted. If they don't fall under that category, anything they say is fair game. If they say anything to me, it's fair game. I can take care of myself. Although you probably won't like me nearly as much because I tend to get a little bit bombastic when I defend myself. Mr. Monkey Boy says, I'm not trying to be rude, but you sound like you smoke a lot. I'm not trying to be rude, but so? Is there nothing you don't do to excess? Are you perfect? Mr. Monkey Boy, are you a shining example of existence on planet Earth? Does it bother you that I smoke? Can you smell it from where you are? Do you think that me smoking is lowering the validity of anything that I say or the value of anything that I present? If so, maybe you should look at you. Maybe you have a problem, a smoking problem. I don't. It doesn't bother me that I smoke so much. Why does it bother you? Also, haven't you ever heard gravelly voices are sexy? Amanda says, LOL, Johnny. Aaron says, I deleted it by mistake. That's all right. You can undelete it. Go back in and take the delete off. And that way it's fixed. And you're okay. That's bound to happen. It happens all the time. Just say you're sorry and move on. Amanda says, hi, monkey. Welcome. Johnny says, play religious man with common sense. I didn't know there was such a thing. You think I'm a play religious man? You think I'm a religious man? Did you hear me say that? I don't remember saying that. What are you saying exactly? Be clear. Must be a 2-minute delay. Well, no, I'm reading the chat as it happens, which means I'm up in the chat. You've already said it. I'm getting to it. I have to stop and make comments, which makes the time go by faster. That's how time works. I'll get to you. Man says, yeah, Johnny, he reads all the chats. That's right. Kevin says, history is taught by the victors of the wars. Absolutely. And all of those are interested in painting the picture in their favor. A good way you can discover this, there was a battle that occurred between Israel and Egypt, and both sides record the war. It's in the Bible. You can read Israel's version of events, and you can read over in Egypt. You can find, if you find out who the Pharaoh was, you can find their version of events. They are vastly different, both of which point in the opposite direction. So yeah, people write history based on the way they want other people to see what happened, which is why you have to be dubious about what you read. Just because it's in a book does not make it right. A Good Crusader says, I got a joke. A buddy of mine from church was really sad. Says his girlfriend left him. I looked him in the eyes and said, things will be all right. All he has to do is get past her. That's a good joke. I like it. Pastor can help you out, and if you get past her, that will help you out. He got me. I'm subscribing, says Johnny Mike. Thank you, Johnny. Please hit that subscribe button. By the way, like, subscribe, share, support, join, and super chats are available in the chat box if you want to show a little bit of love. But if you can, and you're inclined to do so, hit that Cash App, $ Jake Johnson Band, or PayPal, paypal.me/JakeJohnsonBand. I can use it. I appreciate it very much. I'll do everything in my power to be worthy of that support. As always, I will read all of your questions and comments. I will give it a proper amount of attention, and I will answer you. And also, if you have to reach out privately, hit my email address. That's untetheredlivestream@gmail.com. It should be in the chat. And if you need me, reach out. I'll answer you. And thank you, Johnny. Welcome to the show. Kevin says, LOL. Aaron says, it's a hazard. Sorry, I deleted your comment by mistake. Oh, hazard. I didn't see hazard. Well, that's okay. You're good. Amanda says, thanks, Johnny, and I think you will like it here. You will. Kevin says, please hit that thumbs up button. Thank you, Kevin. Amy says, the egg came first. It did not. But I like where your head's at. You got to have something to eat, right? If you're going to start out a new civilization, you need eggs. Amanda says, the chicken came first. Correct. Prince Hulk says, hello, old man, you're weird. Well, I'm not the one calling myself Prince Hulk. You should really think about that one. Hard. Also, have you noticed how many ladies are in here? Prince Hulk? Have you taken stock? You understand that weird sells? Also, the mustache helps. I'm guessing by the name Prince Hulk you can't grow one, but maybe one day when you're a big boy, you can. I'm proud to be weird. And I'm not that old. I'm pretty old. Amy says, reptiles laid eggs long before chickens. Yes, not one of them ever produced a chicken, though. If you'll go back and listen to what I said, I did not say reptiles. No, what did I say? I said chickens are required to produce chicken eggs. I didn't say chickens are the only thing that produces eggs. I did say something about a cloaca, but yes, some reptiles have that ability too. But they make very different eggs. If you don't believe me, go. Aaron is in Florida, and I'm sure if he fishes for sharks, he's come across an alligator or two. Ask him what an alligator egg looks like. Ask him if it looks like a chicken egg. It doesn't. Very different kind of egg. Eggs that chickens lay and eggs that birds lay in general are very unique to the egg-laying community. They have a different flavor. Whereas reptile eggs are more leathery, chicken eggs are more porcelain-like. They're not porcelain, but they have that kind of texture. And porous, and they breathe. Johnny Mike says, hit that like button. Thank you, Johnny. Amy says, eggs are eggs, and they're delicious. Yes, they are. Prince Hulk says, Bro needs to shave that mustache. You wish. Listen, I can't help it you're jealous of the mustache. I assure you the ladies like it. Don't take my word for it, ask them. If I thought it was a detriment to my face, I would shave it immediately. Kevin says, thanks, Johnny. Johnny says, my question, God every day. I question God every day. You should. Let me tell you a little secret about the word Israel. You know that Jacob wrestled with an angel, doesn't name the angel in the book, but the angel blessed him and also gave him the name Israel. There's only one angel that could do that, one Elohim that could do that, and that would be God. So Jacob wrestled with God until he caused him to have to submit. He made him cheat. He had to break his hip to make him let go. Jacob wasn't going to let go, right? So he changed his name to Israel. The word Israel transliterated means to wrestle with God, which means if you're not wrestling with it, you're not Christianing right. It's not supposed to go down easy. The whole point of the Bible is to make you wonder, what the hell are they talking about? And why is it so weird that every book connects together, despite the fact they were written over a 4,000-year period by 66 different people who never met each other, weren't part of the same religion, and had no idea that anybody would ever read their writing except the person they were writing to. Yet every book connects to every book and tells a through-line story through it all. Yeah, that's weird. You have to wrestle with it. That's the whole point. So please continue to wrestle with God. Wrestle with him until he whips you into submission, because that's what you're designed to do. Speaking of common sense. Aaron says, hi, Prince. Amanda says, thank you, Johnny. And Johnny says, I question God every day. He just never answers back. I disagree. How do you know he never answers back? What are you waiting for? Are you waiting for angels on high to send down trumpets in your honor? You think you're worthy of that? The whole world exists, but he's going to speak to you? How do you know that you meeting me today is not God answering you? It sounds like you're getting an affirmative from me, and I don't know you, nor do I have any vested interest in healing you or saving you or bringing you into the right direction, yet here I am talking to you about wrestling with God, and I happen to have the answer to that particular question. Does that not sound like God just answered you? Maybe he answers you every day. Maybe you're the one not listening. Have you ever considered that? In order to grow mentally, you first have to admit to yourself that you don't know anything at all. The first step to wisdom is understanding that your lack of knowledge is profound. And there, in the Venn diagram of things you know versus things you don't know, that sliver is very thin. Get out there and look at the world. Ask questions. Wait to see if they are answered. And if they are, God most certainly is answering you. I'll tell you a story. There was a Jewish guy, was in a flood. The flood's coming up. The waters are coming up. And he prays to God. He says, Father, please save me. I know you will. I have faith in you. I can see you sending someone to save me. I know you'll save me. And so the water rises up to his chest, and he grabs his family and they climb up onto the roof. And about that time, a boat comes by and he says, hey man, jump on. We'll take you to safety. The Jewish man, wise and full of pride, says, no. I've prayed to my Father. He's going to save me. The guy goes, all right, I'm out of here. Takes off. Water rises up. He's on the roof, and the water's at his ankles now. Another boat comes by, and he goes, hey, y'all jump on. We'll take you to safety. No. I have faith in my Father. He will save me. Guy goes, all right, I'm out of here. And he flies. Water comes on up to his neck. He's holding his children up out of the water. Helicopter flies by. They throw down a rope. It says, come on up. We'll save you. No. Pray to God. He will save me. I have faith. And then the water goes over his head, and look, he drowns. And then a few moments later, there he is before God, opening his eyes for the first time in heaven. And he says, God, What happened? I thought you were going to save me. I prayed to you. God says, I sent you 2 boats and a helicopter, moron. That's why you're here. You understand? God doesn't answer you the way you think he should answer you. He answers you the way he does. And you have to listen. Hope that helps. Linda Davis says, thanks, Johnny. Absolutely. Amy says, but you didn't specify a chicken egg. I think I did. I think I was talking about chickens specifically. I said that a scientist said that a reptile or a dinosaur laid an egg and it produced a chicken, which is nonsense because the difference is vast. There's no way that could ever happen. And then I said, eggs require cloacas from chickens to produce chicken-producing eggs. Go back and listen. That's what I said. Amanda says, Prince, join the conversation. Don't throw childish insults. Right on. Author Anthony Alexander says, I love eggs. I love eggs too. From my head down to my legs. I love eggs. Amanda says, hi, Anthony. Thank you for subscribing, Johnny Mike. Appreciate you being here, buddy. Aaron says, Johnny Mike. Right on. John Nugget says, the frying pan came first. Right. I can't seem to keep a cigarette lit. I've been lighting this cigarette for the past hour. Kevin says, Dr. Fauci would say the chicken egg came from a penguin screwing a duck, LOL. Or a pangolin. Right? Amy says, LOL, Kevin. And Amy says, sorry I brought it up. You didn't bring it up. What are you talking about? Aaron says, I'm not. You had a point. You did have a point. Anthony says, I love the ladies. Me too, Anthony. And Amy says, I like the mustache. And Amanda says, yes, Amy, me too. See, I told you. Johnny says, he needs to twist the ends of his mustache up, though. I have a picture, an AI-generated picture of that very thing, and it actually looks pretty good, so I might do that. Mr. Monkey Boy said, jeez. Mr. Monkey, I told you. Amanda says, LOL, Johnny, it won't stay. He'd have to train it. That's why they make beeswax. They don't stay. You put beeswax in it. Anthony says, I quit smoking after throat cancer in remission. Well, God bless you, Anthony. I'm sorry you had throat cancer, and I'm glad it's in remission, and I'm also glad you had the strength and ability to quit smoking. I, however, have been smoking for about 45 years. Don't see me quitting anytime soon, but I wish I could. I'm not perfect. Shocker. Mr. Monkey says, didn't have to be rude about it. You didn't have to be rude either, but you were. And so, there you go. That's what happens when you talk to a sardonic, sarcastic person. You get sardonic sarcasm. Or whatever I was trying to say. And failed. Johnny Mike says, Mr. Monkey Boy, LOL. Debbie says, can you give me a quick synopsis of who Barnabas is? Who Barnabas SP is? Barnabas? The only Barnabas I know of is one of the disciples. It might be Bartholomew I'm thinking of. I'd have to look it up. Who are you talking about in reference to what? Give me more specifics and I'll tell you. But yeah, I'll look into it. Johnny Mike says, hilarious. I think there's a Barnabas. There's a Barnabas that's an apostle and there's a Barnabas that's a disciple, but it might be Bartholomew. I might have that mixed up. I have to look into it. Johnny Mike says, yeah, and dad bods are in. Well, I happen to not have a dad bod. I do, but my arms are awesome. Johnny says, I just perceived that. Yeah. Well, it's not dad bods. What it is masculinity. You see, the whole world has been inundated with soft-handed, frosted tips, little man bun wearing pony boys, little video game freaks that can't build or fix or kill anything except a boner or a vagina that has a little wet moisture to it. So what is in, oddly enough, is masculinity. People like men. Women like men. They won't admit it for nothing unless they're old school. The new women won't admit it for nothing, but they like men too. This femininity, this feminism cancer that is on society has ruined the brains of an entire generation. And they're starting to wake up. And they're starting to realize, oh, maybe they had a point long ago and far away. Amy says, why does the Catholic Bible have 68 books? King James has 66, and Ethiopian Bible has 72. Well, because of the Council of Nicaea in 1066, where they all got together and agreed on canon. And canon is everything that refers to salvation. And the stuff that don't was taken out. All Bibles used to have all the books in it. And then the problem is everybody had their own version of events. Everybody had their own translation and their own. It was a nightmare. Nobody could get on the same page. You go to one church, hear one thing, go to another church, hear another thing. That couldn't continue. So they all got together and locked themselves in a room and did not leave until they all agreed, this is the Bible, this is what we're all going to teach. And that's where the Bible came from. There are Bibles that have other books in them, but they are not the standard. The standard is the 66 book range. That's what is taught. There are books that are out there that have other books in them, such as the book of Enoch, the book of the Maccabees. I can't think of all of them, but there's a bunch of them. Jasher, bunch of them. But anyway, that's why. And the 66 books that are in the King James version all handle salvation. That's what they're all talking about, Jesus. That being said, all of the people that are involved in the Bible wrote other things. And it's out there in the world. And it's no less valid just because it's not in the Bible. It's a good study. So to that I would say, anything you read in the world, square it with the Bible. If it squares, then it's good science. It's good knowledge. If the Bible contradicts it, throw it away. It's that simple. But that's why. Kevin says, TGIG, long week for me. TGIF, thank God it's Friday. My Friday does not end until tomorrow at about 4 o'clock. I have to go. It's been a very long week for me too, buddy. Trying to catch up with land taxes and internet and all kinds of stuff like that. It's not easy. Amanda says, UntetheredLiveStream@gmail.com. If anybody wants to reach out, there's the link to my email address. Go check it out if you need it. Don't pester me, but if you need to talk, I'm here 24/7. Amy says, night, Kevin. Is he leaving? I think he was just saying it was, thank God it's Friday. But if he is leaving, good night. I didn't see that one. Debbie says, the rooster said the chicken came first. I'll show you myself. I'll show myself to the door. Ha ha. That's a good one. Well, if the rooster's smart, the chicken comes first. He might be a self-indulgent moron that drinks too much and thinks a little too highly of himself, though. But if he's a smart man, if he's a smart rooster, the chicken comes first. And often. Amanda says, LOL, Debbie. And Kevin says, Debbie, LOL. Karen says, Debbie, LOL. Johnny says, the dry sense of humor. It's great. Thank you, Johnny. I appreciate it. I'm glad you get it. Most people just read that as sarcasm or hatefulness. It's not. I just have a resting bitch face. It is dry sense of humor, but thank you for noticing. And those who have humor in their life get me well. Those that don't usually get offended by me quite quickly. It takes being here for a while before you realize that I'm not serious about half of what I say, and the other half I'm serious as a heart attack about. You just have to know how to read me. But most of the time, I'm just pulling your leg, leaning into the madness for the sake of content. Linda says, Johnny, he is untethered to religion, hence, he doesn't play religion. He follows and teaches the Bible by reading the Bible. Thank you, Linda. Correct. Yeah, somebody, I forgot about that. Thanks for reminding me. Somebody had said something about me being playing a religious guy. I'm not religious at all. I'm a teacher, but I'm not religious. John says, I can relate. My mom's a hippie, smoking pot and reading the Bible. Well, I don't smoke pot, but it is a plant that God provided for us for a reason. And I say all things in moderation, even moderation. I don't smoke pot, but I don't not condone it. If you want to smoke pot, do your thing, baby. Oh, CA hit me with a $5 super chat. Thank you. I got to get to it. My phone won't let me get to it immediately. As soon as I run across it, I'll read it. Amy says, message retracted. Truth says the book of Job is the only book which doesn't refer to any other books. You're wrong. In the Bible, the book of Job is exceptionally unique, worth the study. Well, you're incorrect. It does refer to many other concepts in the Bible. You just might not be seeing it because you have to read the whole thing to get it, and enough times that you can see it. But it is there. And yes, the book of Job is the oldest book that we have, that we think is the oldest book of all of them. And it is worthy of study because it tells you a very true thing. You are not half as big as you think you are. And without God, nothing is possible. So get off your high horse and pay obeisance to the Father who made all of this possible. That's what that book is teaching in a nutshell. And also, the relationship between God and Satan isn't what you think it is. Amy says, God says no sometimes too. Correct. Yes, he does. And sometimes the answer is no. Amy says, the book of Ezekiel is kind of trippy. Yep. And that's the first time a man saw things that he did not understand and tried to write it down. Maybe not the first time, but in that example, Ezekiel is a man who the only technology he had ever seen was a horse and carriage, and nothing else registered in his brain. If it didn't come from a fire or off of a horse's back, he didn't know about it. And then all of a sudden he's faced with these things that are, beyond him, and he's trying to write it down. And so it's a very interesting book and a little bit trippy, but what he saw, he saw. Amy says, I've heard that joke before. That's hilarious. Truth says, Amy Elizabeth, the book of Ezekiel is very cryptic and highly spiritual. In that spirits are there? Yeah. From the perspective of a dude. Yeah. Amanda says, Google, that's not nice. What did Google do? What did Google do? Amy says, LOL. Amy says, I didn't see. Okay, well, you booted him, right?
I deleted his comment.
Okay. All right. No racist comments. That's not free speech. That'll get you booted. Amy says, LOL, why did the half chicken cross the road to get to the other side? I don't know why. Why did the half chicken cross the road to get to the other side? Was he half stuck in Bill Clinton? Monkey says, nice mustache, man. I hope you have a great day or night. Thank you, Monkey. Appreciate you. I hope you do too. Amanda says that, thanks. Good night, monkey. Aaron says, I want to get a chicken and name it Hot Goose. Hot Grease. Sorry, I can't see. Hot Grease? Chicken hot grease. I see what you're saying there. Like naming a pig bacon. I got you. Aaron says, and a rooster and name it Too Slow. Amanda says, I'm going to name a chicken Nugget. John, you hear her? She's talking about you. Aaron says, it would never come. Well, right on. Amy says, my late brother-in-law had throat cancer, and it has an 85% mortality rate. It went into remission. It metastasized to stomach cancer, and where they put a feeding tube. I'm sorry to hear that, Amy. Yes, cancer sucks, and it is a very real risk for those of us who partake in the tobacco world. However, sometimes you can't beat out to hide what's in the blood, and nobody ever said common sense was free. And you get what you get. If you're gonna live that way, you gotta accept what comes your way when you get there. But I'm sorry your brother had to go through that. It's a terrible thing to have to go through. My mother died in my arms from lung cancer. My father also succumbed to lung cancer many years ago, but I wasn't there in the last days of that. GoPro or Co says, damn, son, what's the best forearm workout? Dice. Amy says, I had 8 chickens named Squishy, Honky, Squawk, Mrs. Hen, Betty, Floppy, and Flippy. I have 12 cats, and they're named Cat. All of them. And I have a dog. His name is Tribble. Amanda says, hi, GoPro. He's a musician. Yeah. A lot of guitar playing, and also roofing helps, and swinging a hammer in general. Working about 10 years on a rebar line. Using a sledgehammer, shovels, doing stucco work, slinging shovels of mud up 3 stories. That'll help. Yes. When I was 18, I had the body of a Greek god. You better believe it's true. But now I'm pushing 50, and I got the body of a Chinese god. GoPro or Co says they could kill time. That's about it. What are we talking about? GoPro. Debbie says Barnabas is how I heard it. I'm not sure of the spelling. I'll look into it. Sure who that is. I've tried to research it, but I don't know who he was or where to start. I assume it's something to do with God. I will look into it, and I will tell you the next time we get together, which will be tomorrow night. I'll let you know who Barnabas was. I have heard that name, and I have read that name, but I can't remember either right off the top of my head where it's at. It's not a main character, I can tell you that. It's not anybody that's important in the list of what happens in the Bible, but it is a character, and I have to go look for it, but I'll find it. I'll let you know. Aaron says, I had a rooster in the city named Chicken George. Nice. Aaron says, forearm, reverse curls, or chopping wood. Yes, sir. Or swinging a hammer. Get you an 18-ounce east wing hammer and go roof a few houses, and you'll get a forearm like that, which you can't really see very well on this camera because it's fisheye. That better? Solid as a rock, too, by the way. That one, I'm scared of that one my damn self. Aaron says, our ranger training is that for elite forces. Amanda says, in the New Testament, Barnabas was an early Christian leader, a Levite from Cyprus, and a mentor to Paul, which was Saul before he became Paul. And he was known for his generosity, willingness to others and his crucial role in welcoming Paul into the Christian community in Jerusalem. I hope this helps Debbie. Well, now I don't have to answer you. There it is. Thank you, Amanda. Amanda is Johnny on the spot with that Google now. I was afraid I was going to have to read and find Barnabas. She just nailed it. Thank you. And Amanda says specifically he's mentioned in Acts 4, 36, 37, Acts 9, 27 through 30, Acts 11, 19 through 30, Acts 13, Acts 14, Acts 15, and Acts 16. He also appears briefly in some of Paul's epistles, which means a letter. Dakota Wright says, hey friends. Hey Dakota, nice to see you. Hit that like button, everybody. Subscribe, share, support, join, and super chats are available in the chat box. And also hit that Cash App, $JakeJohnsonband. This internet ain't gonna pay for itself. I appreciate you. Truth says Barnabas was a preacher and preached in Antioch, which is why I've heard of it. He was a Levite of the country of Cyprus. Well, Amanda beat you to it, but thank you. Appreciate you. Dakota says, hey, Amanda. And does that say Shilly or Shull? I can't tell if that's an I or an L. The show work. I'm going to say skull. All right. Dixon Cider. Ha ha ha. Funny. I'll take that $2. Appreciate it. Thank you very much, Dixon Cider. I'm trying to think of a comeback, but I'm just not that clever. I appreciate you, though. Amanda says, Amy says, in the pecking order of the flock, the rooster is there for protecting the hens and breeding. That's it. The hens make him eat last and are mean to the rooster. Isn't that the way it usually is, though, Amy? It's not unique to roosters and hens. Women are that way, too. Our job is to protect and serve and build a house and fix flat tires and fix the sink, take out the trash and listen to this and not get upset about it. And you guys make us eat last and are mean to us all the time. I'm just teasing. Dakota says, hey, Amy Elizabeth. And Amanda says, thank you, Dixon. El Diablo says, here's a $5 from California. I think that's what is that? What is a CA5? Do you remember the blank family on the Jetsons? No? The future looks pretty good. I don't know what you're talking about there, but I'll take the $5 or the whatever, CA5. That means something. I just can't remember what it is. Debbie says, thanks, Amanda. I read that. I just wanted to know more, but maybe that is all there is on him. Well, I'll go back over it and see if there's anything specific, but I don't remember him being an important part of the story of the Bible. You know, the way things go in the Bible. I don't remember that name being beneficial other than escorting Paul and helping him learn what he needed to know. Remember, Paul started out on the opposite team. He was a zealot of another kind. He organized and was there when Christians were persecuted and killed. He didn't do any of the killing himself, but he was there. He held the coats of the people while they did it, basically. So for him to transform into a zealot Christian teaching the words of Jesus, that's a big 180 or 360, however you look at it, going back the other direction. I think it's 180. Anyway. Dakota says, hey, Debbie. Big fan says, what are you drinking? Coffee. What are you drinking? Delicious hot coffee, which is about gone. Truth says, Bartholomew Apostle, contemporary with Matthew, James, and Thomas. Correct. Aaron says, coffee. Amy says, hi, Dakota. Mr. White says, pray for Kevin Brennan. Absolutely. Father, please watch over Kevin Brennan. Your will be done in all things in your Son Jesus Christ's precious name. Amen. Amen and amen. I hope that helps. Mr. White. Linda says, Debbie, are you talking about Barnabas from Cyprus? Yes, ma'am. And Dakota says, he is coffee. He's drinking coffee. And Amanda says, you're welcome, Debbie. And Dakota says, hey, Linda. El Diablo hits me with a $2 and says, God is for weak-minded people. Well, I tell you what. Says the guy who just gave me $2. I'll take it. At the end of your life, when you meet God, you be sure and tell him that you said that. And we'll see. We'll see how that works out for you. But thank you for the $2, and I'll spend it keeping this channel afloat to teach more people about God. Tom R. hits me with $1.99 and says, my preacher said Jesus was gay. Thoughts? He's wrong. That good enough? Not only was Jesus not gay, he was not sexual in any way. He didn't have sex at all. How do I know that's true? Because he was a spotless, blemishless lamb. He lived this life without sin. Anything else would have changed who he was. If he loved it and acted on it, if he had devious thoughts, if he stole or beat up somebody as a child, any of those things would change who Jesus is fundamentally. So no, he didn't have any of those afflictions whatsoever. You're referring to a movie called The Last Temptation of Christ, which is a piece of trash. You should run far, far away from that preacher. Truth says, of course I'm wrong, according to you, LOL. Well, now you got to be specific. What are you being wrong about? I don't know what you're talking about. But if it's wrong, then yes. Dakota says, hey, Tom. Amy says, horrible thing in the donation. Oh, that's all right. I set that straight. Unfortunately, though, there's a lot of people out there being waylaid with those kinds of thoughts, and they're not as impervious to them as I am, which means they fall for them. And there needs to be somebody on the internet telling the truth. That's why I'm here, because there's a lot of that in the world, and there's a lot of that on YouTube and in other platforms. Not a lot of real truth being taught. So yeah, I'm particular about it, and yes, I'm solid on it. Yes, I know what I'm talking about, and no, I don't need to be told how to do what I'm doing. If you want to help me do it, please do. If you want to teach me how to do it, you need to eat some Wheaties and come packing, because I've been doing it a long time. Am I wrong ever? I'm sure. But for the most part, I think I got it handled. And the reason I think I got it handled is because it does not come from me. I work for somebody much greater than me. Anyway, unfortunately, Amy, there's a lot of people in the world with a lot of sick and twisted ideas in their head. And a lot of these young people are falling for it. Everybody that is above the age of 20 needs to really stand up and take charge here. Because if you don't set that straight, it's going to ruin the entire generation with thoughts just like that and worse. Everything they're being taught seems to be against humanity, against reality, against common sense, against truth, against nature. That's everything. Everything they're being taught. There needs to be somebody telling true things. And I hope that they hear me. I really do. Amanda says, yep, it's sickening, Amy. And Aaron says, truth, it's cool to watch you and Jake debate. How about that, Truth? And you thought I was just hating on you, didn't you? Turns out it serves a purpose. Thank you, Aaron. Amy says, donations, feed Jake. Thank you, Amy. I appreciate that. Please do if you can. Amy says, yep, they think they're being funny, but they're helping Jake. Exactly. Amanda says, right, Amy. Aaron says, I wish YouTube didn't take 30%. Well, they got to make their money too, and they do provide the platform that I usurp to teach truth. But there is a way around that. If you want to give me money and you want me to get all of it, just put it on CashApp, $JakeJohnsonband, and it'll all come to me. If you want to use the functions of YouTube, they're going to take their pound of flesh, but I get some of it, so that's good. I get 70% of it. So I appreciate either way you do it. If you can do it, don't ever give me any money if you're living paycheck to paycheck like I am. But if you have it and you are going to blow it otherwise, this ministry could use your help. I appreciate it. And whatever you decide to give is between you and God. Amanda says, it don't matter on low amounts. It matters, it just don't matter as much because it's only a few dollars. But if you're going to give over $20, please use the Cash App because that way I get all of it and you don't waste money on something you don't support. Amanda says, Aaron says, oh, that's good. Thank you. Amanda says, jealous Ken? I must have misread or didn't see what Ken said. Aaron says, Ken. Johnny Mike says, put the hammer down on him. She will. She'll get him. These are defective cigarettes. I take one hit off of them, start talking, and go to hit it again, and it's dead. This is the same cigarette I've been smoking for an hour. Aaron says, he did nothing wrong yet. Right on. Amanda says, nope. Amanda says, banhammer. Aaron says, Amy says, yes, I booted him. Johnny says, come on, Ken. Show out. I know you want to. That's all right. I haven't even heard the first thing he said, so it doesn't matter. Aaron says, hugs. And Amanda says, LOL, I was about to, Amy. You beat me to it. Aaron says, Amy. Johnny says, hilarious. And Linda says, hi there, Dakota. Aaron says, yes, it's actually sad that people are that empty. Yes, but they're that empty because no one has filled them up. Don't you understand? This whole generation is empty because no one has filled them up. They had helicopter parents or Generation X or boomer parents that just did not care about them. They cared about themselves and left them to it. And they've largely grown up on their own devices. And then you put them in a school system that indoctrinates them, and music that indoctrinates them, and politicians that indoctrinate them, and friends and peers that indoctrinate them. And you can't hold a candle to that kind of attention on your children, and you just lose them. They just go astray. And why? Because they're not being told how to think. If you go audit a school right now, any school, it doesn't matter which one, it doesn't matter which level, college or grade school, the one thing you'll walk away thinking is that they did not learn how to think about anything that they were taught. They learned what to think, they learned what to say, how to respond, how to act, how to move, how to be conditioned for the bell ring or the sit down and be quiet or the whatever. Not once did anybody challenge them in how to think. You see, this thing up here works. And if you use it, strange things happen. One of them is you begin to realize things. Well, the way the system is designed, TV, music, commercials, comic books, everything, movies, they're designed to kill your thinking ability. They put fluoride in the water to calcify your pineal gland, which kills creative thought. It stops you from being curious. It makes you complacent and docile. That's what they want, a herd. Do you want to be a herd? And if you do, it better be sheep, not cattle. Aaron says, it's good people here. I wish they would act right and have fun. Well, some of them do. And see, this is the thing you got to be understanding. What we're doing here, and I may have said this before, but I didn't articulate it very clearly, I'm sure. This show, if it's not Bible study, it's fishing. Now, you know how to fish, right? I started this podcast to teach Bible. In order to teach Bible, you have to have people that want to learn Bible. So that's what this show is. Therefore, we are trying to get people who don't necessarily know the Bible into the show. And there's a fine line between somebody that you can manage and somebody that you cannot. Some people are too far gone. Some people are just trolls. Some people will hang out and listen, like the guy that just joined, Johnny Mike. He might stick around a little while. We caught a fish. Now see if he shows up for the next one. And if he does, maybe we'll entice him some more and he'll come to Bible study. So, you have to temper your band hammer with that knowledge. We're trying to keep it fresh and quick and polite. But we also want people here to hear the words, even if they don't agree with them at first. So at first, it's going to be a little uncomfortable. We're going to have to put up with a little bit of nonsense so that they might have a chance to hear the truth. If they do hear it, Bob's your uncle. We got another one coming in to hear the word of God. If they don't, there'll be a problem and then you can ban them. But always give them the opportunity to hear first. Maybe that helps. I wish they would have fun too, Aaron. Amanda says, it is, Aaron. And to think like that all the time must be painful. Johnny says, I was stirring the pot a bit. Yes, you were. And that's all right. Shit testing me is quite all right. It's when you take it too far that we have to get banned. I understand you're going to shit test me. I'm up for the challenge. I get a little sarcastic, but I'm up for the challenge. Aaron says, that's not Kevin. What is that? Ken? Ken had that foot in the ass coming. Right. Whoever it was that just got booted. I hear you. Yeah, there was somebody in here earlier that was spouting off racist nonsense. We don't put up with that at all. That's just, it's too childish. If you're going to be racist, at least be clever. At least put a little thought into it. Just be a moron. I assure you that if you say a clever racist thing, the person you're being racist to will appreciate it more. I assure you. Debbie says, Linda, that is just it. I do not know who he is or where he is from. Well, he's from the Bible, clearly. And he's from Paul's life. Beyond that, he's not a very important role in the Bible. So, the entire Bible from cover to cover is about one family. Through line through to Jesus, from Adam to Jesus is all one family. But there are other people that come in and out of the story from time to time. But most of them are related. That's the thing they don't really tell you in Sunday school. Most of these people are related in some way. Amy says, we're going to start the book of Acts on Sunday. Yes, and I'm excited about it. Acts is a very good book. Amanda says, definitely, Aaron, and correct Amy. Debbie says, thanks everyone for the help. My pleasure and their pleasure, I'm sure. Amanda says, you're welcome, Debbie. Linda Davis says, Debbie, his original name was Joseph. Interesting. Amy says, CA is for Canadian. Got it. I don't know why I didn't think of that. Canadian $2. So there was $5, $2, $2, $1, and I made $9.72. Shocker. Canadian money is not as good as American money. Okay. Aaron says, hold up. 12 cats? Yep, I've got 12 cats. They're all feral cats. They're not my cats. They just happen to live here. And I feed them because they're here. And there's kittens everywhere. And I call them all cat because they are all cats. Amy says, Debbie was asking about Barnabas. Truth was talking about Bartholomew. Right on. Well, I think he said that because I brought up, I may have gotten Barnabas and Bartholomew confused in my mind because I couldn't remember exactly when she said the name Barnabas, who she was talking about. And I said at first I thought he was a disciple, but it's probably Bartholomew. But there is a Barnabas in the Bible, and I have read about it. It's just not an important character, so it doesn't have real estate in my mind, if that makes any sense. All right, we're going to have to get to the bottom soon. My voice is going. Amanda says, LOL, they are all wild. We are in the country, and they just show up. Cats, yes. Aaron says, take 5 of them and call them the Catson 2. Right on. Amanda says, LOL, Aaron. Aaron says, Catson 5. Right on. What is this SKOL? Is that a skibbity thing? That's the second time for a different person that I've seen that phrase. What does that mean? I don't speak your
It means cheers.
language. Skull means cheers. Cheers. Amanda says, well, you didn't do the magic shake yet, Jake.
Yeah, like when you toast a beer.
I thought cheers meant cheers. Or das vidanya. Skull. I've never heard that before. I stand corrected. Aaron says, Ohio, please comment real things. Right on. Ohio says, okay. Amanda says, skull means cheers. Well, cheers back at you. Top of the morning to you. I apologize. I didn't understand. Aaron says, cheers. Ohio says, thanks for explaining, Amanda. I appreciate it. Yeah, I sometimes get waylaid on things I haven't heard. Amanda says, you're welcome. Aaron says, and I know. I didn't. Amanda says, oh, well, my bad, Aaron. Truth says, according to you, I am wrong about the book of Job, LOL. I know you're wrong about it not referring to other books. It does. Matter of fact, it's very important for other books. But you're not wrong about it being an important book or a good read or a good study. There's a lot of information in the book of Job that is not elsewhere in the Bible that will give you insight into the things that most people question, such as, if God's real, how come there's so much evil happening in the world? How many bad things is God going to let happen? Why doesn't he just come down here and have a press conference and that'll solve it for everybody? We'll all be believers. Well, he did about 5 times. How many times does he need to do that? How many times does he need to raise the dead or heal the sick or cure the leper or flood the whole world or whatever? How many times before you believe it? You mean he has to do it for you personally? It's not his fault you weren't there. John says, breaking news. Police firing pepper spray on protesters in America at the moment outside police stations. So basically you're saying it's a Friday. Aaron says, what are they protesting? That's a good question. What are they protesting at police stations at Friday night? At, like, whatever time it is. Amy says, John, that's been happening for a couple of days. Amy says, Aaron, what don't they protest? Right? Aaron says, who? And I don't follow the news. It's probably a good thing. It'll drive you crazy. Amanda says, $ Jake Johnson Band at paypal.me/Jake Johnson Band if you're interested in putting a little into Kitty. I appreciate you very much. Kitty. John says, about ICE, Aaron. Oh, they're protesting ICE. And they think the police can do something about that. Amanda says, well, you save on cigarettes that way, Jake. True. I never get through one. Too busy talking. Aaron says, I got a watch. I have no idea. Right on. Amy says, I love y'all, but I need to go lay down. I'm still not feeling well. Well, I hope you get to feeling better, Amy, and God bless you, and I hope that you get that solved, and I hope you have a good rest this weekend. Get you some rest. Don't stress yourself. Stay in a laid down position in a cool, dark room, and, just sleep. And that'll make you feel better, I hope. And we'll see you next time. Good night, sweetie. Kevin says, good night, Amy. Amanda says, good night, Amy. Feel better soon, hon. Aaron says, I hope you feel better. Message if you need anything. Right on. Spec Lobby says, hello. Welcome back, Spec Lobby. Linda Davis says, John, did I miss that you changed your name? Nugget Works. I hope you are doing well. He did. He changed it recently. Aaron says, Spec, good to see you. Amanda says, hi, Spec Lobby. Spec says, hi. Linda says, good night, Amy. Aaron says, I'm glad you made it. Truth says, USA is in 32nd place in literacy in the world, and the number is growing as we speak. It's a very sad reality, yeah. And one of the reasons is because they don't require literature in school anymore. They don't even require grammar in school anymore. Kids aren't taught how to write in school anymore, cursive or otherwise. They don't know about punctuation, as illustrated in that previous sentence. It is very sad. And there is a way to combat it, Truth. We could all band together and teach the world how to think for themselves, like without agency, without other agencies, with their very own agency is what I meant to say. And maybe they'll pick up a book and start reading. That would help. Aaron says, TikTok, other places is a learning. Yeah, TikTok. They're taught to think in little 10-second clips, and they don't care about grammar. Most of them speak in emojis nowadays. That's what I thought skull was earlier. Thought it was one of those young skibbity toilet things or whatever the young people are saying. And I apologize. That's because I'm old. That one just slipped by me. John says, yes, Linda. I did. I fancied a change. I thought it would be funny, and I hope you're okay. Johnny Mike says, he's right about fishing because I'm still here listening. John, thank you. I appreciate you. Chinese Kai says, you look like Dutch Vander Lindy. I don't know who that is, but thank you. I'm sure he's a sexy mofo. Aaron says, wait. We got 2 Johns. We now have 3 or 4 Johns. Yes. Aaron said, Amanda says, Aaron, John Nugget is DJ John. Right on. And was something before that, but I can't remember what it was now. Aaron says, oh, my dude. And Debbie says, that's why I ask about Barnabas, because I do not know the Bible and you can't always trust what you read online. So I went to the person I knew would tell me the truth. Thank you. I appreciate that confidence. I will always endeavor to do so, and I'm glad that cleared up that little mystery anyway. And yeah, you can't always believe what you read. Linda says, we also have a Mr. P. John, which I hope to see him back in the chat soon. I emailed him, and I haven't got any response, so I don't know. I don't know what's happened with him. I hope he's okay. I hope he's healthy and busy. But, in this day and age, anything could have happened. John says, it's been a long day, and I'm just listening. That's all you need to do, buddy. Just listen. If you want to participate, that's fantastic. Linda says, get some rest, Johnny. I hope to see you again. Yes, I hope you come back tomorrow night. Truth says, Debbie, it is very good to ask. Always good to ask. If we don't know, you should be careful of whom you ask also. Right on? Amanda says, we don't condone that in here, Tilda. Tilda says, I read Exodus 20:21. God said it's okay to beat your slave as long as they don't die within a few days. That is not what God said, and you need to go back and reread that with clear eyes. Listen, you have free will, which means you have autonomy. This is your ship. You can sail it across the 7 seas, or you can turn and drive that sucker right into the rocks. Either way, God will let you do it. It is your choice. That's what free will is. You were put here to love God willingly, which means you have to have the opposite choice. If God expects you to make a choice, you have to have the other choice, or it's not a choice. You understand? God created evil. God created the devil for that very reason. Don't believe me? Read the book of Isaiah. Read the whole Bible, and you'll see. Now, I forgot what I was saying. Oh, God did not condone slavery. Men chose to put men in slavery, which, by the way, in the Bible is a different kind of slavery than the kind we had here in America. First of all, they weren't black. They were all colors. Second of all, it was more like indentured servitude, and most of those people chose to be in that position to pay off a debt, right? That being said, they were also people in positions of prominence that had them, such as people who owned palaces, and they had to staff the palaces. That's the kind of slaves they had. It ain't the kind that we had here in America. So you're conflating two ideas to start with. Second of all, God did not condone it. He put rules on it to restrict them from their actions, because men left unchecked can do all manner of evil things. So God put orders on it. Him getting involved with it tells you that he doesn't want you going overboard with it. Most of the time, God doesn't get involved with things like that unless it's egregious, and then he says something about it. He's up there allowing you to live your life until you cross the line, and then he'll come in and impose rules like the 10 Commandments, like the flood, like the rules on slavery. Go back and read that book and understand that the word slave comes from the word Slavic, which are white people, by the way, just so you know. And understand that the whole world has been engaged in slavery since its beginning and is still currently doing it to this day. You know who's not? America. That ought to tell you something. John says, what a first thing to say. Yeah. Isn't it weird how hello seems to be gone by the wayside? Free Palestine. What's your thoughts on being gay? God condones slavery. How about hello, asshole? My name is so-and-so. Nice to meet you. You ever thought about any of that? Or do you just walk into random people's lives spouting your ideologies? Someone fact check that. I did. Tilda says, it's not the first thing I've said. Nope, you got deleted the first thing you said because it was worse. Amy says Exodus 20:21 states that the people remained at a distance while Moses drew near to the thick darkness where God was. This describes the Israelites' reaction to the powerful display of God's something. Oh, continue that when it pops back up. Linda says, right, Johnny, I think you are going to fit right in here. Tilda should find some manners. Amen. Tilda says, go ahead. You should fact check everything. I do. If you'll listen long enough, I will tell you the truth. Amanda says, Exodus. And the people stood afar off, and Moses drew near into the thick darkness where God was. So stop lying. Right. John Nugget says, good night, everyone. Much love, prayers for everyone. John, I'm glad you're feeling a little better. I'm glad you're feeling cheeky today. And you come see us next time. We love you. And good night. Godspeed. Amy says, this describes the Israelites' reaction to the powerful display of God's presence on Mount Sinai during the giving of the 10 Commandments. Right. Amanda says, night, John. Tilda says, message retracted. Smart move. Linda says, good night, John. You are always in my prayers. Oh, Tilda says, sorry, 2021. John Mike says, get your story straight. Right, if you're going to lie, at least lie consistently. Don't you hate that when people lie inconsistently? As if I don't have a photographic memory and can remember everything they said at a certain point. Amanda says, I just posted 2021. Right. John says, so are you, Linda, in my prayers always. Oh. Amy says, Exodus 20:20. And Moses said to the people, do not fear, for God has come to test you, that his fear may be before you, so that you may not sin. So, if you just take that by itself, Moses, the giver of the law, because God gave it to him, has said, don't be afraid of God. He is going to test you, and he's going to make life hard for you so that you can see what happens when you sin, so that maybe you'll stop sinning. Maybe stop sinning. You ever thought about that? Amanda says, don't come in here with nonsense. And by the way, truth, if you want to know why I'm so defensive all the time, Exhibit A. Tilda says, as long as they don't die when you beat them. But no, obviously you shouldn't beat anybody, but if you're going to beat them, you're not allowed to kill them. I think that's fair, don't you? Or would you rather them be allowed to just beat willy-nilly? Again, God does not stop you from doing whatever you're going to do, but he will tell you it's wrong. Remember, God placed Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. He gave them a choice between the tree of life and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And then he said, don't touch that tree. I forbid it. If you touch it, you'll die. Don't touch it. Don't look at it. Don't lick it. Don't taste it. Don't swallow it. Stay away from it. And then he backed off. And guess what man did? Straight for the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. They didn't even wait. They just went right for it, as if it was the first thought on their mind. But you have the tree of life, which is Jesus, the tree of knowledge of good and evil, which is the devil, and you were given a choice, and you chose. And that's why everything happens the way that it does. Because you are hard-headed, stiff-necked, stubborn people, and you need strength to smack you back into reality a time or two. Amanda says you're being blasphemous. Don't do that. Tilda says, Exodus 21:20. New International Version. Nope, I'm not reading that. If you want to read the King James Version Bible. I don't have time to go into why now, but trust me, that's the one you want to read. Rich S says, my body, my choice. Absolutely, Rich. Absolutely. And your choice will either put you in heaven or the other place. Johnny says, Tilda, I feel like someone should have beat you. I mean, at least once. I don't think you can really understand respect and obeisance and honor and strength until somebody punches you in the face. I think it should be mandatory. The day you turn 18, somebody with a big fist should punch you right square in the nose as hard as they can and knock you out. And then when you wake up, you'll have a different perspective. I really believe that. Rich says, AKA hello. Amanda says, that's a broke down version of the Bible. Look up the King James Bible. Right. Mr. Monkey Boy says, oil up if you come to battle. Amanda says, hi, Rich. And Amy says, try King James Bible, first of all. Not the new interpretation version. It does not reflect the real scripture. Right. Thank you, Amy. Tilda says, Johnny, is that the love of Jesus? Yes. You think when God said, spare the rod and spoil the child, do you think he was talking about anything other than love? Do you think that you should have your ass beat from time to time? I bet you don't. Nobody does. But funny enough, that's what teaches most of us who have a little bit of common sense how to have common sense. I think God was right. And Linda says, hi, Rich S. Johnny says, Jesus didn't have nothing to do with it. My parents taught me respect. Right on. Well, how do you know Jesus didn't have anything to do with it? Are your parents still alive? If they are, go ask them if they read the Bible. Ask them where they got the idea to teach you respect. Trace it down. Figure it out. Tilda says, you think threatening to beat someone is respectful? I didn't threaten to beat anybody. What are you talking about? Amy says, context, Tilda, context. The Pharaoh enslaved the Jews. That wasn't saying it's okay to do that. Correct. Right. You see, people do bad things. God puts rules and parameters on those people. But they're going to do bad things. He didn't tell them to do those things. They did those things on their own accord. They have been doing so since the beginning. If you can't see that, you're not paying attention. John says, you misread my comment. I might have. Jesus didn't have nothing to do with it. My parents taught me respect. That's exactly what I read last time. Jesus didn't have nothing to do with it. My parents taught me respect.
That was a while ago, Jake.
The very next thing he says is you misread my comment, so it had to be that one. Linda says, Tilda, reread what he actually said. Tilda says, okay. Amanda says, Exodus 20:21.
That was a comment to something you said earlier.
Oh, okay. Well, I apologize if I misread. And Amanda, that goes for you too. I'm not reading the NIV. If you want to quote the Bible, quote it from King James. Eric in Tampa says Steven Seagal is monitoring the chat. Fantastic. How did you like getting your ass handed to you by Jean-Claude Van Damme? Truth says, Truth says, God is the best economist. He commanded his people to have an economical reset every 50 years. All debt erased and liberation to every man in the bondage of debt. It's called Jubilee, which is 70 years, not 50, but yes. Tilda says 2120. Whatever, dude. Or ma'am. Amanda says, distance while Moses approached the thick darkness where God was. Yes, distance. Tilda says, nope. Stop. One more of those and you will be removed from this channel, period. You will not come here and blaspheme the Holy Spirit or God or Jesus. It's not going to happen. That is something that a YouTube personality put out on YouTube. That is not reality. Do I make myself clear? That's enough of that. If you want to learn something, stick around. You want to run your mouth, you can do it somewhere else. I'm just going to skip all that. John says, Tilda needs to pray if she believes in this nastiness. Truth says, people in the politicians believe they are smarter than God Almighty. How puffed up and proud they are. Yeah. Well, you know what they say about pride, and we celebrate a whole month of pride in this country. Pride goeth before the fall, and I can't think of a better example to prove that than what's about to happen to the United States. Amanda says, okay, Tilda, you're posting nonsense and lies, and you can stop now. I will remove you. That's your last warning. Amy says, Need a ladder to help reach the cherries you're picking, Tilda? Truth says the Bible talks about Jehovah. It talks about YHVH in the Greek, and in the Hebrew it's a different thing, but that is the unforbidden name of God. Or the unspeakable name of God, the forbidden name of God, YHVH. And you can pronounce it Yahweh, Yahweh, Jehovah, however you want to pronounce it. It's the same word. And basically, that is the word that was whispered to Moses at the burning bush. It's the word that was whispered over the bones of Abraham in Egypt when the people who had been enslaved for 450 years were questioning their religion and why they were listening to Moses when he showed up. Because God said, I am that I am. I tell the ending from the beginning. I am the Alpha and the Omega. That's who you tell them sent you. That's who that is. That is not a storm deity, some nonsense some girl said on YouTube. That's not truth. Read the Bible for truth. Who says the Bible talks about Jehovah, the Bible does not talk about Yahweh. Google search is not the best while looking for truth. The Bible talks about YHVH. That's the name of God. And we translate it to Jehovah or Yahweh or Yahweh or however you want to say it. But you're not supposed to say it. That's the whole idea. We have the Jews use other words in place of that word. And one of them is Adonai. Amy says, facts, truth. And Amanda says, it actually is truth. It actually does. Yeah, we read a English translation of the ancient text, which has vowels. Truth says Jubilees every 50 years, not 70 years. Okay. Leviticus is in the beginning of the Bible. Read the rest of it. Amy says Hebrew has 2 E's. Thank you, Amy. I'm going to steal that and put that right in my pocket. That's beautiful. That's a good one. Amanda says, right, Amy. Truth says, I believe what the Bible teaches. You should. And it's the King James Version, as you should. And that is the one that you learn from. That's the inspired, inerrant Word of God. It is the truth. I believe it from cover to cover. I even believe the cover of mine. It says Jake Johnson in little gold letters, and that's the truth. That's who I am. I believe it. So take that. Now, we've reached the bottom of the chat, and I'm going to go to bed now. Thank you all for all of your hard work and effort, and thank you for all of your contributions and thoughts and criticisms and everything. I appreciate all of you. Have a great night, and I'll see you tomorrow night for some politics where we can argue about the world. Until next time, Amanda says, see you all tomorrow night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on Untethered Live for some politics. Much love, y'all. Thanks for watching.